Hello, I'm Jane from On the Pond with Dick and Jane, and today we're going to be talking about some of our wins and fails of fall gardening. We haven't gotten to winter yet, but we've already had temperatures in the 20s, so let's see how the plants are holding up. One of our successes is the bathtub greenhouse that we have. We set up the lights, and so far our peppers are doing really good. They seem to be enjoying life. They've got little buds and they also have flowers. No sign of fruit yet. Over here we have a green pepper plant and he also has some flowers on him. And so we'll see what happens. But meanwhile, they're living life large here in the bathtub. We also had some tomatoes that we had, suckers that we had planted, and they're growing tall and probably leggy, but they seem to be okay here. And they also have some suckers, so if I wanted to, I could propagate those suckers. And so by the time I'm ready to plant in the spring, I should have some mature tomato plants ready to go. So that was the whole goal for this. There was one pepper plant that did not make it, but 2 out of 3 isn't bad. Today is a beautiful fall day. It's one of those days you cannot be stuck inside the house. So here we are in our front yard garden, and let's take a look and see how our vegetables are doing. Here's our spinach. It's doing really well and it tastes awesome. Next door we have Swiss chard coming up, and it's doing pretty good. Now the ones that I have inside the hoop house have taken off. They're bigger than these out here, but I still have hope that these will continue to grow and to mature. And I've never really had Swiss chard, so I'm really looking forward to having some. Here's our garlic. It's still doing good even with the below 30-degree temperatures. I think it's because of the Agrabah cloth has kind of preserved them and have let them overwinter, and so they're looking really good as well. And across over here we have salad. Now the salad that I had inside we completely finished. I think it started bolting when we started putting in fire at night, or when we started using our fireplace. And we finished it off as fast as we could. It still tasted really good. The lettuce out here, though, again, it's moving along slowly, but pretty soon we should be able to have some salad from here. Our kale is looking really good, except for some of them. Not sure what's wrong with those little guys right there, but the rest of it, it's looking great. Our premium greens were planted in August, and we are still cutting from this and still enjoying salads or steaming these greens and having them over rice. So this has really been a wonderful crop. Our carrots have also managed to hang in there really good, but they like cold weather. They were planted, I think, also in August, which is really a hard time to have them germinate. But we covered them with cardboard, gave them a chance to stay out of the heat, and so now we have potential for some really good and big carrots. So the other day we created ourselves some little greenhouses that you can see behind me there. They fit over our 2x2 raised beds, and they help protect our kohlrabi, our turnips, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. And so far they're doing a great job. So we're gonna look underneath those little guys there and see how those plants are doing. First, let's talk a little bit about the construction. It's very simple. We just took some of our scrap wood that we have around here from all the sawmilling that we do and created a frame, and then put some plastic around it, and then use battens just to pull the plastic tight so that it can act like a greenhouse. And we made 4 of these guys, as you can see, for these boxes up front here. And let's go take a look and see how our plants are doing. Here is the Kohlrabi. Now, I tried to plant some in our garden rows, but the cutworms just ruined them. But inside this raised box, they've been pretty protected. And I think our largest one is, would you say, like a golf ball size? So he's coming along. And of course, I think he's supposed to get a little bit more bigger to be like a softball size. But they're hanging in there. They're doing really well. They seem to like their little greenhouse that we built for them. So I'm looking forward to trying these. I've never eaten one before, so we'll let you know how they taste. If you like them, please let me know how you fix them. What's your favorite recipe for them? Because I am looking forward to this. Now, here are the radishes that we left in the ground. We had pulled some radishes earlier, and they were just so small that we just said, okay, just let these guys go and see how they do. And we did pull a pretty big one out of here just the other day. Let's see if we can do that again here and now. Let's see, which one do I think might be ready for the picking? All right, let's pick this guy right here. See how we do. Well, he's bigger than what we had in our radish video, but not as big as the one that we picked the other day, but still they taste pretty good roasted. So we'll have radish and something tonight for dinner. It looks pretty good. So here we have some escapees from the house. Usually they're under lights, but I think it's good to bring plants out when it's nice and warm and give them a chance to have some of the real stuff. They were out here yesterday, putting them out again today. My hope is a mixture of things that not only will they enjoy a little bit of the sun, it's sort of a cloudy day, but I still thought it was beneficial for them. I am getting a lot of, I guess what they call the fungus gnats in these plants. And so that's why you see those little yellow stickies, and they are covered in those gnats. And I'm hoping that bringing them out here might help the gnats to go away. I tried to disturb the soil and to try to talk them into not staying in the dirt. If you have any suggestions on how to control those type of gnats, I am all ears. Please share. But for the most part, they're doing really good. We have our Stevia plant that I had to cut back, and so it's growing some new leaves and looking a lot healthier than it was earlier. I also have some chamomile that's doing beautiful, and then some of the herbs. I think in this plant in the middle here, it might be a weed. I'm not really sure. I have to look it up. But I just found him growing in one of my seed trays, and he looked pretty, so I've so far let him live. But on the other side of him, we have the oregano. Really all around him, we have the oregano, which is doing really well. I also have basil, more oregano here, parsley. So I want to keep on adding to the herbs that I'm growing. I'm really enjoying cooking with fresh herbs, which I really haven't started doing until this year. So that's something that I've enjoyed doing. What you doing, Dick?
Yeah, so trying to turn some pine logs into lumber still. About what, third, fourth day at it? Of course, I don't mill but about 2 logs a day. You ever watch Petticoat Junction? Well, I'm Uncle Joe, moving kind of slow. Anyway, so got to pace yourself, you know, in these retirement years.
That's right. 2's good enough, right?
Yeah, man. So I'm still turning it into it. So I end up with this was a small log, maybe 10 inches. I forgot to measure it. I want to say it was about 10 inches. What you end up with here is like, so you try to skim it down. Look on this side. You can see there's still wane on these 2x4s right here.
Yeah,
Right.
a little bit of bark on there, yeah.
But if you come around in here, you can probably cut it off about right here. And right about here when you go to use it, and you got yourself a good 4 foot 2x4 that you can use.
Nothing goes to waste here, huh?
No. I mean, for farmwood projects, it's good stuff. So, and then, you know, so that stuff dries, makes good campfire wood. It's pine, so you don't want to put that in your fireplace.
No. It is pretty though. It's
Yeah.
one of the yellowest flames, I think.
Yeah, so we did pretty good. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like really clean. 5, 6 clean ones. These two. This one has no wane on it. This might have a little bit. So we probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 good clean ones and a couple other boars. So the total of 8 out of that. And again, that's because I was trimming it off and trying to be really careful to get the most I could out of it. You can see the wane on the bottom.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to trim off some small area like that, and it's 4x4s, that's what you get.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's usable.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Man, we can build a chicken coop out of this stuff.
Okay. Now see, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
I'm ready for my chickens.
You ready for chickens
I
this
just
spring?
need a chicken coop, yeah.
Yep, I told her, so you can't have chickens till they have a place to live.
And I was like, and I don't want to start this in the wintertime. So we get the coop built in the wintertime. Then we'll be ready in the spring for chickens.
Yep.
So this is our outside compost pile that we actually turn with Digger helping us, which is our excavator. So we really do a big turn from this first bin that it was in, now is empty. And we did it about a week ago. And if you take a look, you'll see that our temperature says that it's steady. So that's pretty cool. And so pretty soon, maybe in a day or two, we'll probably move it back to this other side. And that's gonna help us to create compost a lot faster than if we just let it sit in this one single bin. We found that it's really helped us move it along really fast. Let's talk about the wins and the fails in the hoop house and out on the garden rows. So our first row over here is beets. I planted over 50 beet plants, and the cutworms got most of them except for the ones that you see here. I did try to save them by putting these collars on them, which seemed to work. After I put those on, the plants weren't destroyed. Now I don't know if these are considered a win yet. There are beets forming. Never grown beets, so I'm hoping that they're on track and that we will get some good vegetables from here. The next bed over, most of the cutworms were after my cauliflowers. I did put a collar on this guy here as well. And there you can see it. And the rest of them, the ones that survived, are in the hoop house. So he is the lone cauliflower in this row. Next row over is the cauliflower. Some of them also made it into the hoop house. And these survived because of those plastic collars that I put on them. Now, these look great, but maybe not as good as the ones in the hoop house. So we'll compare those. But I still think that the broccoli is going to be a win. Look at this. Pretty nice. Yep. Doing good. Now, the next row over are 2 rows of onions, and they were hard to germinate. These were direct sown. This is a mixture of direct sown and some that I had germinating in the house, and then I brought out here as transplants. But I discovered later on that in our area, I probably should not have put them out when I did. I should have probably waited till January. So my hope is that we don't really get a heavy snows. If we do, I'll put in some more metal hoops to keep the snow off the onions, and hopefully that will help. But they look like they're doing pretty good. Some of them are doing awesome. So I have some more onion starts inside, and we will grow these rows. We'll push them out longer towards where that agrabah cloth is when we're ready for transplanting, because we're gonna stick with the rows going in this direction. Behind curtain number 1, win or fail. These are the tomatoes that we've been trying to keep alive, and we'll reveal how they've done. We've definitely had some temperatures that dive down below 30 degrees. So here we go. Is it what you imagined? The tomatoes really did not do very well. They were holding in there for, I guess, until just like a week ago. And then I think we had something in the either 27 degrees or 29 degree night, and they really just had too much cold. So they're tired. So we've decided that we won't try to do this again next year. We will save this row for other things like our brassicas, since they're doing so well. And we do have some tomatoes I could take in and let them ripen, so we'll do that. They're starting to fall off, so I will pick these here soon and set them in the windowsill, and we'll have some fresh tomatoes in December, but it's not worth the space and the time to try to help them out. So this was a fail. The rest of the hoop house are, I think, all wins. Here we have the Swiss chard. That's doing a lot better than the ones that are in front of my the house garden. Kale is looking awesome. We have some more onions that we brought in just to see how they do when they're not under pressure from being outside. We also have some starts from the house that they got when they got to a certain level of maturity. We brought them out here. The cold does not seem to affect them. I did not label them, so these are either collards or what else could they be? Maybe they're collards. I think I got collards and Brussels sprouts that I brought in from transplants inside the house too. Pots in here. Here is the broccoli. So my flowerets, I think, are doing much better here than out there outside. We got 2 pretty good, decent size so far. My cauliflowers, I think this is cauliflower, is not really showing anything yet, but there's always hope. Cabbage heads are forming. These are just beautiful plants. Really pretty. I don't know how that leaf got in here. Crazy. Some Brussels sprouts that were transplants brought in to here and potted recently, and the ones that we started a while back. Look at them. They are beautiful. These are nice plants. And I'm just waiting to see when I get Brussels. I want to see that. But yeah, these are doing awesome. They're really loving it here. Love the colors. So yes, the hoop house has definitely been really good for our brassicas. And so that's why I would prefer to not do tomatoes and just stick with the cool, loving plants in the wintertime. Oh, and things that we've been trying to do to keep some of the warmth in here, we've added brick so that when it is a sunny day, today's not a sunny day, but when it is a sunny day, it warms up those bricks, and I think it helps, you know, throughout the night until it's just way too cold. We also created another type of great little miniature greenhouse effect here so that I could put maybe some more tender plants that still like cold, but are younger, and we're going to give this a try. So this is our next experiment. So all in all, I'm really happy with the hoop house. Oh, and before we take you out of here, we put the thermometer into the compost heap over our inside compost heap to see how well it's doing keeping the green, or I should say the hoop house warm. So you can see the difference here. This is not a hot compost pile. I'm thinking about really, I've turned it maybe about a week ago and added some kitchen scraps to it, but I'm wondering if I just wasn't able to really turn it well. So maybe I'll just take the whole thing out, turn it, and then bring it back and see if I can get this to heat up. But at one point when I had turned it, it was warm, but right now there's no heat to this compost pile. But that might all change when we get chickens. So the last thing we're going to talk about is our Kodak brown mustard cover crop. And this land right here has been driven over, compacted pretty hard. Maybe even bonfires were here. So I think what it's showing us is that it definitely needs some attention. The soil needs some attention. And so you can see that we have some areas where they're turning yellow. Some of them are still small and they really haven't grown large. And then we have ones that are doing really good, but they're on the outskirts. Another thing is that we did plant it maybe about a week or two before we started getting the colder weather. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. But the other mustard, Kodak brown mustard plants that we planted after this plot are doing a little bit better, but they're on soil that's been amended with compost and also underneath agrobon cloth, and so we think that they're coming along really nice. So we're still 50-50 on this, if this is a win or fail. I think time will tell. Dick thinks it's a fail. All right, we've got several places where we planted the Kodak brown mustard here on our rows. Over in that far area there, you can see that we usually keep it covered. These two rows right here are left uncovered, but I still think that they look better than the plot that we have over on the other side of the hoop house. And then we also have it on this row right here. And this was planted a lot later than the plot. And you can see that they are getting their bigger leaves, and I think that they're looking pretty good. So I'm more like 50-50, even though Dick is more like, fail. But hey, we've got to start somewhere. So that's where we are with our fall gardening. Let us know how you're doing. Any tips? I appreciate any tips you can give me on some of our fails, or ideas as to what you guys do to keep things moving along. But boy, have we enjoyed some spinach and greens and kale. And so we're like, yeah, we're going to do this again next year too. If you like these videos, please hit the like button and give us a comment and subscribe. Thanks.